An American author and one of 20th century's leading humanitarians, Helen Keller, once said, and I quote, "Alone we can do so little, but together we can do so much." And the Zulu principle of Ubuntu, which translates to I am because you are, is not only the essence of collaboration, but also the essence of life. This is NAPTIP on the Move, and I am Emmanuel KK. We're glad to have you join us. Collaboration is a key strategy adopted by NAPTIP in its fight against human trafficking, as the work of the agency cannot be done without meaningful partnerships. As part of her resolve to galvanize all of society and government in this fight, the Director General of NAPTIP, Dame Julie Okadonli, embarked on a walking visit to Akwa Ibom and Cross River State. Take a look.
In line with the agency's resolve to fight the menace of human trafficking through advocacy visits to relevant stakeholders and state actors, the Director General of NAPTIP, Dame Julie Okadonli, and her team recently visited Akwa Ibom State, where she met with the governor of the state, who was represented by the Deputy Governor, His Excellency Moses Frank Akwa. Speaking on the purpose of her visit, the Director General of NAPTIP highlighted the mandate of the agency, its achievements so far, and the challenges faced in the fight against human trafficking.
My mission here today is very simple: to pay homage to the governor and the good people of Akwa Ibom State, to familiarize myself and the agency NAPTIP with the state government and the major actors and stakeholders, with a view to drawing a new roadmap to stemming the tide of human trafficking in Nigeria, and to see areas of partnership and cooperation.
She also shed light on human trafficking incidences in Akwa Ibom State.
Human trafficking, as you know, has taken a very serious dimension. We are now talking about organ harvesting. It's no longer sexual exploitation, domestic servitude, forced labor, but organ harvesting. And so we take this very, very seriously. And I want you to know, Your Excellency, that Akwa Ibom State, unfortunately, is one of the most endemic states when it comes to trafficking. In the past 1 year, the Uyo Zonal Command handled 91 cases, and 50% of them were from Akwa Ibom State. So far, 19 convictions have been won by the agency in Akwa Ibom State, and many cases are still at various levels of prosecution. A total of 794 indigenes of the state have also been rescued and assisted by the agency. I want you to know, Your Excellency, that as a result of the challenges of funding, the agency sometimes is unable to intervene more promptly to cases as it would want to. And that is one of the reasons why I'm here today, because I really need the state government to participate fully in this area with us.
Welcoming the Director General of NAPTIP, His Excellency Moses Frank Akwa, the Deputy Governor of Akwa Ibom State, commended the agency and called for closer collaboration between all state actors.
We appreciate the enormous responsibility that your organization has in this direction. I believe that there is a strong relationship and collaboration between your organization and agencies of government in this state that are responsible responsible for some of the activities that we need to carry out. I hope that this relationship is cultivated very serious in terms of collaboration.
He also pledged the support of his state government in fighting the scourge of human trafficking.
When you talk about the funding, we'll be willing to make contributions to areas that I want to join you in appealing to the federal government to try and fund very, very important agencies such as this one. Because the welfare of this country will depend on the human beings. And if there is trafficking in them, I don't think we can get to anywhere. But let me assure you that this government will do everything that is possible to support your programs and your projects.
The visit to the State House yielded results as both parties have pledged to partner towards eradicating internal and external human trafficking from the state. While in Akwa Ibom State, the Director General of NAPTIP met with the staff of the NAPTIP Zonal Command, where she was warmly welcomed by the Zonal Commander, Efe Africa. Addressing the staff of the Uyo Zonal Command, Dame Julie Okadonli charged them to conduct their duties diligently and also warned against corruption. She then commended the command and offered incentives to encourage hard-working staff. The meeting was interactive as all heads of unit and staff present bared their minds and made suggestions towards better delivery of the agency's mandate. As part of her working visit, Dame Julie Okadonli also visited the shelter where she assessed its needs and then visited the proposed permanent site of a more befitting NAPTIP shelter in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State. From Uyo in Akwa Ibom State, Dame Julie Okadonli attended a 3-day workshop on the production of the protocol for the identification, safe return and rehabilitation of victims of human trafficking in Calabar, Cross River State. The Director, Research and Programs Development, Godwin Moka, spoke on the purpose of the workshop.
It's a very important document we're trying to develop because Nigeria has been accused in the past of not having a formal system for identifying and caring for Nigerian victims of trafficking who are identified in Europe, for example. And that so when they are found in Europe, there's no coherent or methodical way of identifying them, providing services for them, and for returning them back to Nigeria and providing them services that will enable them to stay. And so this document will provide a few indicators of human trafficking that will be used in the destination countries so that the law enforcement officers there, the social workers there, the embassy officials from Nigerian embassies there will understand that if we have this group of irregular migrants and we see some of these sites, we can say that these are victims of trafficking. Because these victims of trafficking are supposed to be given special protection and support. So that kicks in. Then if at the end of investigations and all kinds of things that they want to do at the destination country, it is agreed or it is said that this person has to return. By saying this person should be returned in a safe and dignified manner. It should not be grouped together with other irregular migrants and packed together and just dumped in Nigeria as has been happening. But that there should be proper information sharing between destination countries and Nigeria to provide services right from the point of identification in terms of what kind of support they will need if they are to come back.
The Director General of NAPTIP, Dame Julie Okadonli, in her welcome address, highlighted the need for the workshop.
The evil of irregular migration and the disturbing trend in human trafficking cannot be overemphasized and calls for concerted efforts to avert this inhuman and criminal act. Large number of Nigerians in desperate conditions are trapped in Côte d'Ivoire, Mali, Ghana, Togo, Benin Republic, Niger, Burkina Faso, Morocco, Libya, and many countries in Europe, subjected to sexual and labor exploitations. It is in this spirit that we have invited you here to pursue a common cause, combine a shared vision, and chart a common path on behalf of the teeming thousands of trafficked victims whose destinies have been endangered by the activities of human traffickers. It is important to show enormous care, assistance, and protection to traffic victims in order to prevent further exploitation, protect their fundamental human rights, and ward off any reprisal attacks by the traffickers or their agents. The overall goal is to prevent re-trafficking and to grow a community of survivors of trafficking who will play a vital role in the economic and social development of their communities, states, and the country at large.
She further addressed the rights of human trafficking victims and stressed the need for its strict implementation.
We all have a moral obligation to protect and promote the rights of trafficked persons as articulated by the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the Trafficking in Persons, Prohibition, Enforcement and Administration Act, as well as the National Policy on Protection and Assistance to Trafficked Persons in Nigeria, 2008, which stipulates that the primary goal of protecting and assisting trafficked persons is to ensure that they are empowered to become functional members of the society. It is no gainsaying that the victims of trafficking who are provided with reintegration assistance are not likely to be re-trafficked, hence the need for a documented reintegration procedure that will ensure that victims are afforded the requisite supports and services from the point of identification and during their rehabilitation process.
Delivering the Executive Governor's speech, Commissioner for Justice and the Attorney General of Cross River State, Joe Abang, highlighted the administration's efforts towards addressing unemployment, which is a major cause of human trafficking.
Human trafficking has assumed a more complex and complicated global phenomenon that is proving increasingly difficult to tackle, and its profiteers are not ready to back out in spite of its illegality. Virtually every state in Nigeria is affected in one way or the other by this evil trade in human beings, which is the modern day equivalent of the infamous slave trade. Sadly enough, Cross River State is entangled with both internal and external trafficking in persons. Women and children are the most vulnerable as they are deceitfully recruited by human traffickers and ferried to Cameroon, Gabon, and Equatorial Guinea. In the light of this, our administration, upon inauguration in May 2015, instituted various programs and projects aimed at addressing the issues of unemployment, increased access to better healthcare, and the creation of poverty alleviation initiatives to empower Cross Riverians and reduce incidences of human trafficking and irregular migration within the state.
Declaring the workshop open, the Attorney General and Commissioner of Justice, Joe Abang, commended the agency and pledged the continuous partnership of the Cross River State government.
It is quite fulfilling to note that NAPTIP has already commenced the process of developing a protocol for identification, safe return and rehabilitation of trafficked persons, as this will ensure their safe return and offer necessary assistance. It is in that regard that I hereby pledge our unalloyed support to partner with the agency to eradicate human trafficking in Cross River and indeed Nigeria.
Goodwill messages were delivered by some stakeholders present. The workshop began in earnest with group sessions brainstorming on the various aspects of the protocol, after which presentations of each group's findings and recommendations were delivered. Some participants commended NAPTIP for the initiative and shared the gains of the training.
The brainstorming section, the press, bringing an international community for us to know what their own thoughts are towards this, bringing in the press, bringing in civil society organization, I think it's very robust and productive.
I think it really is a matter of cooperation and collaboration and making sure that we're all pointing in the right direction to tackle this abhorrent crime.
This training is very, very relevant, and I wish to commend the effort of the Director General of the agency, Dame Julie Okadonli, for bringing this training to be. First and foremost, it will help us in identifying victims of human trafficking, who in most cases sometimes are very difficult to be identified because they are mixed with other irregular migrants. We will also ensure their safe return because there are times that returning countries don't follow due process in returning them, particularly based on the protocol, the Palermo Protocol and all that. So this training will specify the best way for these victims to be returned. And of course, when they are returned, they need to be rehabilitated. So it is very important that those who come back will be fully reintegrated into the society so that they can pick up with their lives and contribute, to the meaningful development of the country.
This training is to enhance the work of our agency, it's NAPTIP, and it's not only limited to ourselves alone, but it's a document that we provided as a kind of reference material so that it can be used both locally and internationally. So I believe that this training is very, very important and is very, very key. It's in the best interest of this country and also our foreign partners too, because it will give a lot of assistance locally and also internationally to people that are dealing with issues of human trafficking, safe return, and then also rehabilitation.
The workshop had in attendance members of the international community in Nigeria, relevant international organizations, security and sister agencies, civil society organizations, media practitioners and directors, and key staff of NAPTIP.
Human trafficking, popularly known as modern-day slavery, is very much with us, even in this 21st century. It is a crime against God and humanity. You may be thinking, this message is not for me. Think again, because if you are paying your employee through an agent, you are a trafficker. If you employ a child under 12 years as a domestic worker, you are a trafficker. If you abduct a person against their will, keep and exploit them for monetary gains, you are a trafficker. If you promise international jobs with the intention to exploit the victims sexually and for cheap labor, you are a trafficker. If you buy and sell human organs, you are a trafficker. There are so many components of trafficking with devastating effects on the victims. This victim may be your daughter, son, brother, sister, mother, or father. Let us be our brother's keeper. Join hands with NAPTIP to stop human trafficking now.
Report cases of human trafficking to these NAPTIP hotlines: 0703 00 203, 080 02 255 627847. NAPTIP, empowered to protect you.
The importance of the protocol on identification, safe return, and rehabilitation of victims of human trafficking cannot be overemphasized, as it will ensure better treatment of already traumatized victims. It is time for NAPTIP events. Keep watching. The Director General of NAPTIP, Dame Julie Okadonli, and her team recently paid a courtesy visit to the Executive Secretary of the Nigeria Content Development Monitoring Board, Engineer Simbi Kasiye-Wabote. She further highlighted the problems of human trafficking within the Niger Delta region.
The Niger Delta is very endemic in cases of human trafficking, especially because of the coastal nature and the presence of many oil servicing companies and expatriates that are there in the Niger Delta. We've had reports of Niger Delta girls being ferried out to places like Ghana, Mali, Burkina Faso, Cote d'Ivoire, Togo, Benin Republic, and countries like that. So I can assure you, we have thousands of the Niger Delta girls and boys in the West African countries. We don't just have trafficking in Libya and in the rest of the world, but the Niger Delta girls can be found in all of these countries, and we are trying to do what we can to bring them back home.
Receiving the Director General of NAPTIP and her team, Engineer Simbi Kasiye-Wabote offered to assist the agency in the area of capacity building.
I believe there is an avenue where we can have a synergy in terms of what you're doing. One of our clear mandates is on capacity building. And capacity building, not just in the oil and gas sector. We try as much as possible to get involved in building capacity of Nigerians. And I think one of the challenges you have is that most of these people decide to go on some of these journeys illegally because of lack of employment. Some of them also because of lack of requisite skills. Even the entrepreneurship ability is not there because everybody wants to get a white-collar job. And they are so limited, you cannot go around everybody. So if we are able to help build their capacity, they will become self-sufficient and independent in their own. So I think one area that I see that we can collaborate with you is on capacity building, maybe fashion designing, catering, hotel management, sewing, just mention but a few.
The visit to the Executive Secretary of the Nigeria Content Development Monitoring Board was successful as it will assist in rehabilitating victims of human trafficking. The Counseling and Rehabilitation Department of NAPTIP recently reunited a victim trafficked to Nigeria from Ghana. The Acting Director, Counseling and Rehabilitation Department, Patricia Odugu, formally handed her over to the Ghanaian Deputy High Commissioner.
NAPTIP is officially handing Mary Paul over to you so you can help us take her back to her home. At least she'll be able to stay with the family, and please, we would like you to monitor to ensure that she goes back to school and she makes the best of her situation. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Receiving the victim, the Deputy High Commissioner, Frederick Akufo Awuku, commended NAPTIP.
On behalf of the Ghana High Commissioner, we are grateful for what you've done for her, taking care of her and bringing her up and training her to be somebody in future. So once again, on behalf of the High Commissioner, we are very, very grateful.
It was an emotional moment when the victim, Mary Paul, thanked the agency and the Ghana High Commission for coming to her rescue.
I was trafficked to Nigeria by my auntie, who happens to be my daddy's sister, and then from there I keep moving from house to house, state to state, then village to village, and eventually ended in the hand of NAPTIP. I just want to say thank you to NAPTIP for rescuing me, for keeping me, for training me in school, and now they are taking me back to my people after 17 years now when I've left them. So I want to say a very big thank you for being there for me. They make me feel like I have family when I felt like as if I have no one then. So I want to say a very big thank you to them.
At the end of the event, necessary handover documents were signed and the Deputy High Commissioner bared his mind.
NAPTIP have been very helpful. They took her from the auntie who was here and they've trained her all this while. They've looked after her. Speaking with Mary, she knows how to do a lot of things. She can employ herself when she goes back to Ghana because she knows how to do hair making. She knows how to do beads. So NAPTIP has put her into school, vocational training, and it's not an easy thing to have looked after her all this while till date. And we are very grateful because what she's learned, maybe even she was back home, maybe she wouldn't have done that, but now they've been able to put her on a firm footing so that when she goes back to Ghana, she can hit the ground running, and who knows, she could start up her own business to make some money and make her comfortable in Ghana as well.
As a destination country, victims from other nations are often trafficked to Nigeria. One Chigozie John Emmanuel, a 38-year-old herbalist from Enugu State, popularly known as Akuchi, who claims to be the Chief Medical Director of Akuchi Herbal Concept, located on Old Road around Pure Water area, New Yanya, Abuja, was recently arrested by operatives of NAPTIP for deceiving several women into thinking they are pregnant after administering herbal concoctions and thereafter giving them older people's babies at an exorbitant cost. Items recovered from the facility include local herbs which the suspect said he uses to stimulate ovulation in women, some soaked black-colored leaves, concoctions, charms, and voodoo items.
For more enquiries and support or to report cases of suspected human trafficking and child abuse, please call NAPTIP hotlines on 0703 0000 203 or 0800 2255 627847 or email info@naptip.gov.ng. Visit our website www.naptip.gov.ng. Follow us on our social media platforms at NAPTIP Nigeria and watch our videos on YouTube.
We hope you've been enlightened. It is time to draw the curtain on today's episode, but not without asking you to report cases of human trafficking, domestic violence and child abuse to the numbers on your screen. Please tune in same time next week. I am Emmanuel Okeke and I must thank you for watching. Goodbye.